Thank you. Okay. We just have so many people joining all at the same time. I'm happy to say that we have over 20 people already in the house, and this cuts across from those participating cut across from all over the world. So interestingly, we have people from Europe, people from Kenya, people from Ghana, as well as people from Nigeria. And we have people from different aspects. I would ask you please to mute your mic if you've not already done so that we don't have interference while the process is on. So please, if you are Oluchi, could you please mute your mic? Thank you. Yes, so like I was saying, my name is Philip Agbese, and what started off this round of sessions was an experiment, a social experiment we did last year, where, sorry, Solomon wants meeting summary with AI. All right, that's fine. Okay. So what got all this going was last year when we had a social experiment where sorry, someone just asked a question. Oh, I hope you can all hear me. Please, if you can't hear me clearly, can you indicate in the chat? If you can hear me, please indicate in the chat, if you don't mind, the chat box. Can you all hear me? Okay, good. All right, I think I'm audible then. Great. So, okay, Nana said, please, your voice is quite low. I'm unable to hear you, although my volume is at the loudest. Can you hear me now, Nana? Please, if you can indicate in it.
I can hear you now.
All right, fantastic.
Thank you.
All right. So, like I said, this started as a social experiment last year, where we decided that we wanted creatives and tech people to start having conversations and to start doing things or having collaborations. And last year we had this same hackathon. We brought in tech people as well as creative people, and it was a very interesting engagement. We used the SDG goals as a criteria for them to sit down, collaborate, and then come up with solutions, which we exhibited at our space in Abuja in November. And what were created, the things that were created were so amazing, so interesting, and it encouraged us a great deal. And we decided to ramp it up this year. And so this year we threw the net wider and decided to involve a lot of others. So while we have a physical hackathon coming up at the end of the month, we have 3 virtual sessions, of which this is the very first. And it is still in line with that social enterprise work we're trying to do, as well as the collaboration between art and tech. And today we have the pleasure of learning from some pretty amazing people. I'm so excited at what they bring to the table, because whether you are a new person or you are somewhere with your crafts, or you are trying to explore new grounds, you will find what they have to offer a great delight today. Like I mentioned earlier, and I would reiterate again, we have people from different spectrums, people from all around the world participating. And it's interesting that when people signed on for this, we saw that we had people who had tech backgrounds like software engineers, we had creative artists, we had teachers, or we have teachers, we have students. So it's really cutting across the wide gamut of things. And we're hoping that everyone who's participating here is certainly going to learn a whole lot from what we have to offer today. So without wasting much of your time, I'm going to set some ground rules. Please, if you have any questions while the session is going on, just put it in the chat box so that we don't interrupt the flow of things. When each presenter or each presentation is done, the speaker will address the questions, and any questions that we cannot address directly, at the end of the session, we're going to have a virtual fireside where both speakers will end up answering questions directly. So if your question is not addressed during the course of the narrative or the presentation, please just leave it in the chat box and we will certainly address it before the session is done. That way, everybody can come away with something. We're trying to make sure that we don't have people, sitting on a particular topic at the detriment of others. So that's the ground rule for that. If you also must ask a question, if it is very imperative that you do so, then please put up your hand in the course of the presentation, and then we'll try to address it. But would prefer a situation where we just warehouse all the questions and then we can address them one after the other. I'm going to just take time out now to introduce our speakers so that we can get right into it. Like I said before, this was as a result of a social experiment and it's turned out so great and we're happy. What I failed to mention is that this year's event now has participants. The festival we're working towards, because we started a festival as a result of this last year called the Kaiber Festival of Creativity and Technology. And this year's version, interestingly, has people from outside the country participating for the first time. We have people from the UK coming, we have people from Ghana coming, of course, people from Nigeria, showcasing intersections between art and technology. And it's all happening as a result of these sessions and other sessions that will come along in the next few weeks, 2 weeks to be precise. There's one next week, and then there's one the week after that, same time. We'll be happy to share the link with those of you who are here already so that you don't lose out at all concerning it. Today, we're talking about storytelling using technology. And one of the persons we've brought to do this for us is Naomi Kokuro. Naomi is the Marketing and Communications Manager at Hapa Space Innovation Hub in Ghana. She is a seasoned marketing professional with over 10 years of experience in crafting compelling brand stories. And she also has been very effective with content marketing strategies as well. So we're hoping that what she will teach you today will take your art, if you're an artist, to a higher level. But if you're a tech person, it will help you enhance your storytelling capabilities so that your presentations are better, the way you create content is better, and how you access or how you present this content also is addressed. She has a passion for telling stories, and she loves multimedia artistry as well. And she has helped so many art enthusiasts and creatives develop very strong brand identities. So if you're hoping to grow your brand identity as a person, if you want to create engaging content, or you want to drive customer engagement towards your business, she is one person you really want to pay attention to. Her expertise in using technology for storytelling has made her a very distinguished authority in the field, and we're really, really, really privileged to have her speaking to us today. Her competencies are wide. She's working with a lot of tools that she wants to talk about today. Tools like Canva, Viva Video, InShot, CapCut, video marketing, Pigma, Storybird, PicArt, Logolicious, and Meta AI. So if you are interested in learning how to use these tools, she will be touching on them and showing you how to go about these things. And what she really wants to do today is help you guys learn how to use these creative tools to tell your stories, how to build very compelling brand narratives and messages, um, help you engage social media in a new way that can help you get very great audiences, help you maintain or build and maintain like a high performing content team. So if you want to grow your team, for instance, what are you looking for? Who are you looking for? And what you should be working with. She will touch a bit on editing graphics using, I think, Pigma and PicArt. She will teach you about Logolicious, how to create logos and use them, and so many other things she'll be doing in the next, should I say, 30 minutes or thereabouts. Her approach to this performance creative storytelling is centered around understanding what the customer's journey is, helping you identify what your pain points are, what are your challenges, and then helping you create proper marketing solutions using arts to do this. Someone else who would be speaking alongside her, our second person, is Teddy Atuluku. Teddy primarily started out as an industrial design consultant who was collaborating or who collaborates with a lot of forward-thinking companies and entrepreneurs worldwide. So his brand is not local. He is a worldwide consultant. And he set out initially to create and develop innovative product ideas. His experience is extensive and he spans things like wearable technology, building interior for vehicles and trains, sustainable packaging alternatives, and consumer electronics. But beyond his consultancy, he's also a very accomplished AI artist, which is why he's speaking to us today. In his practice, he uses very advanced AI art creation software, such as MidJourney, Kaiber, and a lot of others to push the boundary of traditional art and design. He's used MidJourney to help him generate very breathtaking visual artwork from prompts, while he uses Kaiber to transform these visuals into animations and videos and all that. So he'll be sharing his journey and his expertise on how to leverage AI tools for creative projects. He'll also be offering us a glimpse into how AI can revolutionize the art space. So for us here, we're all excited because it's going to give us the opportunity to look at the vast or illuminate the vast opportunities within the art tech space. It will show us how technology can actually amplify your creative expression and storytelling. They will be providing you with practical skills and strategies to build a compelling brand as well as a digital presence online. And they probably, and we're hoping, will open doors to new career paths and entrepreneurial ventures in the creative industry. So without much ado, I'm just going to dive in and invite Naomi to take up the mic and we can hit the ground running. Thank you. Hi, Naomi, you there?
Hello, Philip, I'm here. I'm going to switch on my camera for some few minutes and then I will just run away again because of my internet issue. Hello, everyone. I am excited to be here. And if you're excited like I am, I want to see some reaction. Click on your reaction button. I know we are going to have fun today. Let's see something on the reaction button. If you're excited like I am to be here, I want to see the reaction. So in the chat box, okay. Okay, I see some reactions. I want to we have 3 people here. So, oh yes, I love that. Great, great, great. Okay, so Philip has already introduced me. I am simply Naomi. I am from Ghana, and I am happy to be here to share my knowledge on storytelling and through technology. And so, Philip, if you can share my slides for me. I have a little bit challenge with my laptop. So I'm using my phone, and Philip is going to assist me. I want an interactive class, and so we are going to do a lot of learning together. And so now,
Your slides will be up in a minute.
Okay, as Philip is sharing, now drop in the comment section one objective for coming here. Drop in the comment section one objective for coming here. Drop in the comment section. I'll be reading them out. What one objective do you have for coming here? Drop comment section. One objective for coming, for joining the session. One objective for sharing this session. Okay. Networking, collaboration, learning a skill, learn how to use engaging stories to keep my listeners. Awesome. Let's keep dropping in the section. So like I said, today, basically, what we are going to do here is we are going to dive into the fascinating world of storytelling and how it's going to intersect with art, right? And all of us tell a story. So, Philip, can we go back to the image? The image of the first image on my slide with the picture. Please, if you just joined us, kindly, yes. So let's go to the next slide. Now, I want to see the creativity in you. Looking at this image on the screen, write something in the chat box. What comes to mind? What is it trying to tell us? What do you think it's trying to tell us? Look at the image on the screen. The image on the screen. What is it trying to tell us? Water to wine. Water to wine. Water to wine. Turning water to wine. How Jesus turned water to wine. So I hope to be okay. How Jesus turned water to wine. So yes, you are all right, turning water to wine. But this water to wine, water turning into wine, can actually be told in a story form that makes it so engaging. Water to wine basically becomes too raw. So what if we go like, I was empty, so much empty. However, he started pouring into me. It changed from water to wine, and then I became a new being. How does it sound? How does it sound? I was empty, very empty. However, he poured into me and it changed the water into wine, and I became a new being. So basically, that is the thin line between storytelling and just talking, right? Storytelling is a fundamental human experience. It is how we share our history, culture, our emotions, and dreams. So that is why it is so important that no matter where you are in the realm of arts, whether you are in the creative industry, whether you are in the IT field, whether you are running your own business, whatever you are doing, you need to have a bit of storytelling in it to really tell your story. So we are going to explore this together. Now let's go to the next slide, Philip. We are just delving into it. We've already done the class objectives. And so we can go to the next slide where I talk about what we are going to do today. So we are going to understand storytelling, then we delve deeper into elements of storytelling, how technology can help us, some of the techniques, and then storyboard, how to create storyboard, and then mass notes. That's basically what we are going to do. That is if time permits us, right? So let's just go into it and start. Now, why is storytelling even important? Who can drop it? Why? With just what you just heard, drop it in the chat box. Why do you think storytelling is important for us? Why is storytelling important? Why is storytelling important? To catch the audience attention out soon. It helps pass across the core message. It aids in communication. It gives a broader understanding of a story, communicating a message to connect. Very true. Very true. Now, storytelling gives art, especially those in the arts, whatever that you are doing, it gives it a meaning and a depth, right? When you look at a piece of art, or when you look at a caption, or when you look at a write-up, you're not just seeing, you shouldn't just be seeing just the art, you shouldn't just be seeing the words. You should be witnessing a narrative. Everything we put out there is telling us something. There is a narrative that it evokes. It can be emotions, it can be thoughts, it can be connecting us on a personal level, among others. That is what storytelling does to us. It gives us a meaning and a depth. Also, it helps to preserve our culture, right? Philip, can we go to the next slide? Let me see if it's the slide. The next one, I think we've moved on from here. Okay. Okay, let's go to the back. The one before this one. Yes. So another thing is that storytelling preserves our culture and our history. Every art, no matter whether you are a poet, whether you are an artist, whether you are into tech, whatever that you are doing, you are preserving the culture and the history. When it comes to those who draw, those who in the paintings and all that, for instance, once the painting is presented, you realize that the painting is trying to depict, mostly they take some of the traditions and put them together. When we go further into the class, we are going to analyze certain pieces of art, certain pieces of creatives, and see how they come out, right? Now, another thing is that storytelling evokes emotional responses. However that you are putting out there, there is an emotion attached to it. Brian Tracy, who is the father of marketing, will tell you that everybody that is coming to buy from you, so everybody becomes your customer, right? Your prospective customer. They buy based on their emotions. And these emotions are evoked through the storytelling. Whether you are posting your product, whether you are creating an art, whatever that you are doing, there should be an emotional aspect to it. And that is what storytelling does for us. It also helps to foster connection and communication, like others said, right? Now let's go to the digital storytelling process, and then we will come to understanding the elements of a story when you want to really tell a story. So the next slide, digital storytelling process. Now, when you want to tell a story, the first step is to come up with the idea. What is the idea? So to those that are in the artistry, the creatives and pictures, those who are even taking pictures, you're taking a video documentary and all that. You're coming to put something on social media, whatever that you are doing. It is not just about putting it out there, but there should be an idea. There should be a reason why you want to do that. So why do you want to do that? Once you have the idea, the reason why you want to do that, you go through the process of researching and exploring and learning about how to put this thing together before you even sit down to come up with a script. Now, once this script is done, there is something called storyboard, which we are going to go further into it. So you get a storyboard, and the storyboard is going to help you to gather all the relevant information because you already have the reason and you know where you want to do and how you want to do it. So you gather all the information, put it all together, and then you are ready to share. Or you are ready to start. If you are doing videography, now you are ready to take the photos. You are ready to take the imagery. You are ready to record the video. You don't just get up and say, oh, I want to do a video. A client has come to you that, oh, we have a product, we want to do a documentary on it, and then you just get up and you are taking the shots. That's not how we do it. That is really not how you do it. You need to have a vision. You need to have a goal. What emotion do we want to evoke at the end of the day? That is how you go through it, right? We are taking the storytelling from this aspect before we actually go into how you can use technology to put it all together. And that is why we are starting from this side. Philip, please, let's go to the next slide. So what are the elements of storytelling? If you are coming to tell that story, what are the elements of the storytelling? What are the elements of the storytelling? Philip, the next slide. The key elements of the storytelling are mostly in 5 or 6 categories. 5 or 6 categories. The first one is the plot. The plot has to do with the sequence of the story. What sequences are you looking at? What sequence makes up the story? This is the backbone that right? Try to guide your audience. Don't just, I'm coming to create an image. Even when you are taking a photography, common photograph, common picture of someone, there should be a reason why. So there should be a sequence of events that make the story, and that is the brain behind everything that you are doing. The second is the characters. The character is the heart and soul of your story. Now, there are individuals that the audience would want to connect with. There are the imagery, there are the products that you're going to take that the audience will want to connect with, they want to root for, or even sometimes they even despise them. You need to develop your characters to have a depth, a personality, even if it's a product. That is why sometimes you will see, let me use Coca-Cola. Those in Nigeria, we all drink Coca-Cola, right? We all drink Coca-Cola, right? Coke.
Yes, yes.
Yes. So Coca-Cola will create an ad.
Yes, we do.
Okay, you can drop it to the chat box. Now, Coca-Cola will create an ad. How many of us, okay, let me put it this way. How many of us have seen a Coca-Cola ad and you were not really thirsty, or you didn't have any need to go and drink Coca-Cola, but after looking at the ad or the ad content on TV or even on a billboard, like in your heart, like, oh, nice to dance. Let me see the chat box. Have had that. I don't know if there are comments coming in the chat box. Okay. I've never liked Coca-Cola, but the ad has an impact. Oh, I have. Okay. Any other person? I've had such an experience before. Yes. So they didn't just get up to create it. There was a character. They were trying to connect with you emotionally. That is why you see all those, I call it cryings on the bottles. Even when you're not saying it's really chilled, it's like there are these water bubbles coming out of it, and it's evoking some text in you. That is the emotion. They are evoking a text in you. They're evoking text in you. And that is also one of the elements of storytelling or a story. The third one is the settings. You have the plot, you have the board of what you want to do, you have the characters you are going to use. So I'm going to use this backdrop, I'm going to use this element, I'm going to use these props to create this art. Now, what is the setting? How is the setting like? Where is the time, the place where the story will occur? How do we want the story to occur? You need to provide a context that can significantly influence the mood and the atmosphere of the story. So it's not like you've taken a picture because you've taken the picture. You took the picture at that particular place because you wanted that event and that time. There should be a story attached to it, right? And the fourth one is the conflict. That is the fourth element. Now, the conflict is what? Is the driving force of the story. What is the challenge? What is the problem that the characters must face and overcome? Because without the conflict, there will be no tension and the story will really become dull. And if you really want to tell a story, it's not supposed to become dull. So how do you go about it? How do you see it? My images on the screen are skewed towards those in the acts. How many of you knows those acts that you see? The acts on the screens. How many of you know or have seen any acts like that before? Anyone? Let me see in the chat, but I have. Okay. Can you drop which one you have seen? Which one you know? Which one you know? The first one. Okay, what is the name of that art? Starry Night. Whoa. Whoa. Let's clap for him. Let's clap for him. Is there a clapping sound here? Let's clap for him. Yes. Do you know the artist who came up with this? Do you know the artist? The name of the artist? Yes, Vincent van Gogh. And this beautiful painting of a night sky is an expression of Van's emotional state and his unique way of seeing the world. That is what Van was trying to do. And the Starry Nights, he was trying to show the swelling skies and vibrant colors, how there is turmoil and how there is beauty, right? So this narrative is supposed to draw viewers in and make the artwork resonate. When you look at it, you see some colors in there, some swellings in there and everything. And it was just an emotional state. That's what he was doing. Now, who can also tell me about the second art? Philip, I hope I'm within time.
Yes, you are. Keep going.
Okay, awesome. Anyone knows about the second art? The Picasso, the name Ganidella. Yes, 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 yes. So that is the Picasso Guanica, Picasso Guanica. And it was depicting the horrors of the war and the sufferings that inflicts on people, right? So what Picasso was trying to do was to tell the tragic story of the bombing which happened in Guanica during the Spanish Civil War, right? The chaotic composition, the stress figures, and the monochromatic palettes all work together to evoke that. Now, for those who are not in art, I don't want to bore them. So let me go to the last element, which has to do with the resolution, which is the fifth and the final element when it comes to elements of a good story. Now, the resolution is how the story conflicts and is resolved. It's the conclusion that really ties up all your story. So you all the loose ends. What haven't we seen? So before you even go out there to go and do the actual work, you've done it on a board, you've done it on a paper, you've brought your team together, and everything is done on the paper, on the sheet, on your screen. So by the time you hit the ground, you already have something that you are going to do. You already know the end result of what is going to happen, right? So the key elements of the story, whether the thoughts, the character, the setting, the conflict, and resolution, they all work together to create a compelling and engaging narrative. So there is a difference between just saying wine and water and putting it together and creating something out of it. You see how the person just created this image. We've been hearing of it in the Bible. When we go to Sunday school, Jesus turned water into wine. Jesus turned water into wine. But look at what this guy has said. Somebody can also come up with a new narrative of what he wants to depict. It can be something on love. I love love, so I mostly think of love, right? So the person can be depicting something on love between two people and how it comes together to come and form something unique. That can be the narrative of that person, right? So by mastering the elements of a good story, you are able to craft a story that can resonate with your audience. At the end of the day, that is what you are looking at. Whether you are an artist who draws, a poet, whether you are creating it for your business, you have been hired to do it, whether you're coming to create graphics, you're a graphic designer, whether you are a business, you're coming to post something online, all these things come together. You need to put it all together to create something that resonates with your audience. Even if you are somebody who doesn't use technology and you are just a traditional artist, it still has to come together and resonate with your audience, right? So as we move forward, keep these elements in mind when you are creating your stories, especially you're coming to add technology to it. Because sometimes the local people the traditional arts, they are able to do it. The moment we bring in technology, it's like it's coming to spoil everything, but it shouldn't spoil everything. Even in fact, the traditional aspect is the technological aspect is supposed to amplify whatever that you are going to do. Are we good up to this point? Are we good? Are we learning something, or I should just stop and we go? Are we learning something? Are we good?
We are.
Okay, I want to see it in the chat box. Are we learning something? Yes. Okay. And am I actually fulfilling your expectations? Are your expectations being so? Yes, ma. Is a Nigerian who is using this iPhone. The person that said yes, ma, is a Nigerian. Okay, good. So now let's move on to how we can use technology in our storytelling. I think that's what many of you are waiting for. Okay, please let's go to the next slide. Technology in storytelling. So you understand the elements of a good story. How do technology come in, right? We all are telling a story through our works. Whatever that you are doing, whether you are a business, you are going to post online, you are selling your product, whatever that you are doing, you are an artist who is into painting, poetry, whatever that you are doing, we all need to tell a story. We are telling story with our businesses. Now, technology provides us the new tools and platforms to take our stories to the next level. What technology does is three key things, right? It helps to make our story more interactive, immersive, and accessible. These three key things, always put it in your mind. Technology comes in to make our stories immersive, interactive, and accessible, right? Now, what are some of these digital tools and platforms that we can use, right? Let's go to the next slide. Digital tools that we can use. The number one digital tool that you can use as an artist to do some of these things is Adobe Spark. Now, what is this Adobe Spark? Now, you can go online. Like I said, my laptop is old, so I'm not really going into, but I'm going to give you, I want you to have a visual, an overview of it. So I'm going to explain all these things to you so you have an overview of it. Afterwards, you can just go online and Google it and you'll be fine, right? Okay, so forgive me for that. Now, Adobe Spark is a versatile tool. That is what I love about it. It actually allows you to create stunning graphics, right? If you want to even create web pages and video stories, Adobe Spark is one of the key tools that you can use and key platforms. One thing is it's very user friendly. It is perfect, especially for artists who want to create visually compelling content without needing great or more advanced technical skills. So you can actually use it. Is there anyone here who has used that Adobe Spark before? Adobe Spark. Adobe Spark. Okay. Okay, I'm not seeing. So the good thing with Adobe Spark is that it helps you to create interactive web pages, right? Okay, man, that's awesome. Thank you. And so then you can drop it in the chat if what I'm saying is true or not. So with Adobe Spark, you can create interactive web pages, which helps you to combine text, images, and videos together to tell a cohesive story, right? So for instance, you can document your creative process and actually be able to share the story behind the series of the artwork that you are doing, or you create an online portfolio for yourself that actually narrates your artistic journey. And that is Adobe Spark for you. Okay, so thank you, Philip. They've shared a link to that, so you can go and check it out. So that is Adobe Spark for you. And one of my favorites is also Storybird. I love Storybird. Like I told you, I love to write love stories. But most of these things, there are the free versions. And if you really want to enjoy it, you need to pay a little bit of money. So there are the paid versions. Now, I love using Storybird. When I am bored with love, or when I'm there and sometimes I feel like, oh, where is my love? A lot of thoughts are going through my head. I just go on Storybird and I tell Storybird, you know what? Tell me a story of how a girl really loves a guy, but the guy doesn't love the girl. That is how easy for you to use Storybird. And Storybird will put together a narrative for me and add imagery to it. That is even for me who doesn't have a story yet. But Storybird is an excellent platform for creating and sharing your illustrated stories, right? So for those of you that are into writing poems, that are into writing novels and books, art books, and all that, you can try Storybird. It offers a library of artwork that you can actually use to inspire and illustrate your narratives, whatever narrative that you are going to use, right? So if you have a series of narratives or illustrations, what you do is that you tell Storybird, and with using Storybird, you can write a narrative, and each of it you can accompany it with a piece of art. So you turn all these illustrations into a cohesive storybook, right? And it's actually amazing. That I've done 2 stories on there, and I've been watching other people's story. And by now, you should know that 2 of my stories will all be about love, because I've told you I love love. So you should know, right? So Storybird is really, really amazing. Who has used Storybird here before as well? Especially for those who are who are trying to tell a story, visual stories. Storybird is, and it's very easy to edit. It's very easy to edit. Who has used a Storybird before? If you have a question, just drop it in the chat box. We are going to, once I see it, I'm going to answer it. If we can't answer it, we will do it later on, right? And then there is Twine. Twine is an open source tool for creating interactive, non-linear stories, right? It is really, really perfect for especially artists who want to experiment with interactive narratives and branching stories. So you can create change based on, you can create stories, and it can be changed based on the users, the readers, all those all those readers' choices. So you create an interactive piece where viewers make decisions that influence the outcome of the story, right? That is Twine for you. Now, can users upload their own pictures? There is an upgraded version where you have to pay, and on that, I know it is possible. But for the the free version, they have their imagery, and their imagery are mostly in Ghana we will say toys. They are mostly artistic, right? Not really real human beings. So you are not able to do that. But you can edit the pictures. I don't know if I answered your question for you. So that is also Twine for you. Then there is Canva. If I ask this Canva story and no one, all of you don't raise your hand, I'm going to beat you. Canva, how many of us know about Canva and have used Canva, please? Canva. Awesome. I have. Now there is Canva work redesign that they have launched, and it's amazing. You see, I don't want to bore you with a lot of these things, but hey, just go on Canva. You can create all the art, all the videos, my presentation. You're actually looking, or you're actually watching right now. I did it with Canva. My presentation was done with Canva. There were a lot of tools and included with AI features that Canva has brought to make our work easier for us, to create your videos, to create your graphics, to make sure that your graphic is interactive, it is immersive, as well as it is actually telling the story as it's supposed to tell. Canva is your go-to. Please, I don't have any. Canva hasn't paid me to do an ad for them, but Charlie, Canva is amazing, right? And I think from the chat we are seeing it. Yes, Infinite Hot. You should check it out. Canva has brought in a whole lot of features, a whole lot of AI tools that is really making our work very, very interactive, very, very immersive, and accessible, right? You can download the PDF version, the editable versions, all the other versions in various sizes, what you are putting on social media. Even if you want to put it on Facebook, there is the size element that you can edit it to. There are templates you can work with, or you can create your own thing. On Canva, you can actually put 5 keywords there, and Canva will create something for you, and you can edit it. Canva is one of your go-to tools that you can use to create pictures, to create videos, to create your presentations, to create almost anything as a business to be able to communicate it. Another tool that I love using is Viva Video and CapCut. Now, Viva Video is a video editing app. Now, and it's an app, a mobile app that you can use on your phone. Right on your phone, you are able to create your videos, bring them together, create the imagery, bring images together to create something, or put the videos together and create something. So you have done your videos, you need editing on the go because you don't have time to go and use all those big platform, big tools. Viva Video is your go-to for you, especially if you are an artist, you are a startup artist who don't have access to buy all these big, when you want to really edit the videos, there are some tools that you can use, but you have to buy them, right? They are not open. You can use Viva Video. The free version allows you to edit video up to 5 minutes, and the paid version allows you to edit video more than 5 minutes. I use the paid version, and it's very, very affordable. I was paying, I think, 150 a year for using Viva Video. Because I love using it, I don't check about the payments now. So I don't really know how much I'm paying now. But if I remember, previously I was paying 150 cedis for it, and now they just deduct me at the end of the month, and I'm good to go because I'm using the paid version, and I'm able to edit my videos, put on overlays, whatever that I want to do, I'm doing it. I've been using Viva Video for the past 5 years, even before all these CapCuts and the InShot started coming up. CapCut is also one of the video platforms I've been using, right? Video tools I've been using, and it's also one of the best tools to create your imagery. You can reduce the noise with CapCut when you're using it for videos. You can actually put a sound overlay. You can bring certain videos and pictures together to combine them. There are effects that help you to really create an immersive and cohesive, compelling story. So Viva Video is also one of the tools or one of the technologies that you can use. And the AI story generator. I actually found the AI story. Oh, okay. I actually found the AI story generator not long ago. It's an app. You can just go on your Play Store or App Store and then you download it. And on the AI story generator, for those of us who love to write stories, for those of us who love to write stories with images, storybooks, and all that, you are able to use the AI generator to create that. And then there is the PicAct. PicAct helps you to create an image. Now, if you go to my last slide, Philip, please, can we go to my last slide? I just want to show them something. I used PicAct to create this yesterday for my last slide. No, my last slide is supposed to, yes. All these 3 images you see there at the right side, it's my right side. I don't know, probably it's your left side. I created all these 3 images of me, of my picture with PicAct, right? I am using the free version. Like I said, now they've seen that most of us artists and creatives are using these platforms. So they are, there is the free versions and the paid versions where you get a lot of benefits. So all these 3 images you see there was done by, I just picked my picture and then I went to edit it. I chose my colors and everything. So you can do that. Now, what are some of the platforms? What are some of the, please, let's go back. Let's go back. What are some of the mediums through which you can tell your story if you are using technology? The one is video storytelling. Now, videos have come to be one of the powerful mediums for telling your story, right? So you can use platforms like YouTube, TikTok, there is Vimeo, which allows you to reach the global audience with your video stories, right? So when you are considering creating video series, which documents your business processes, explore the themes behind your work, to tell the story in a particular way, right? So you can produce it and then you can post it on these platforms to help you. There is also the interactive media. Now, interactive media allows you to engage the story in a very dynamic way, right? So websites and apps can be designed so that you create these immersive storytelling experiences, right? So the interactive medium is also there. And then all these VR and AR, the virtual reality and the augmented reality, they offer groundbreaking ways to tell stories, making sure that you immerse your audience in a completely new world. How many of us have had that experience before with a VR or AR? Thank you, Philip. How many of us, whether you were the customer or the audience, or you were the one using it? Anyone? I don't know if it's my network, but I am actually not seeing stuff. So there are VR tools like Tilt Brush, right? The virtual reality tools, Tilt Brush, which allows you to paint in 3-dimensional spaces, right? So imagine that you are creating a virtual gallery where your viewers can just walk through your artwork and experience it from all angles, right? So the Tilt Brush will allow you to paint in 3 dimensions. And the augmented reality will bring the art to life in the real world, overlaying the digital elements onto the physical spaces, right? So you can, for example, you can create an AR app. Okay, sure. I'm hoping that We can create an AR app that adds very interactive elements to your physical art installation, among others. Now, if you really want to do it, let me rush through this, forgive me. How do you apply it? If you are a startup, if you are now starting, if you are going to learn, because I've told you a lot about all these things. How do you start it? How do you go about it? The first one is that choose the right tools. Choose the right tools. It is important to know which tools will work for you, which tools you can use to achieve the goal and the aim, and which platforms are good to tell that story, to write that caption, whatever that you want to use, right? If it's highly visual, Adobe Spark or Storybird might be what you will be ideal for you, right? Or Viva Video and all that, right? If it's highly visual. If you want to create an interactive narrative, Twine or will be best for you among others, right? So because you are now going to before you move on to the next, right? So please just be creating short videos, documenting single artwork, simple story, all that. As you gain confidence and you people in, you can now take on complex projects. Then engage your audience. It is very, very key, right? Use social media to share your digital stories, social media platforms. Use it to share it on WhatsApp with your people, ask them questions and all that. It is very, very, very important. Now let's go to storyboard. Let's move straight to storyboard. Let's move straight to storyboard. Let's move straight to storyboard. Yes, because of time, let's move to storyboard. I think we can share this with them later. Good. Now, what is a storyboard? A storyboard is simply a visual representation of the sequence and the breakdown of the actions into individual panels, right? Now, if you are into drawings, it is a series of the ordered drawings, how the drawings is going to be. If you are a videographer or an artist, it just brings together the camera directions you are going to use, the dialogue, and all the pertinent details, right? So it actually sketches out how your video or your art or whatever that you're going to do is going to how you're going to shot it, how you're going to shoot it shot by shot. Right? Mostly storyboards are used for those who are into videography or those, but I believe that from what I've learned so far, storyboard is actually very good for, even if you are, I feel that you need to plan it well, have a board to create it. So you can call it any other board, let's say an art board, and then you create a step by step on how you are going to, at the end result, how you want it, before you even come and take the picture. A client, hello? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Naomi, but your voice goes off
Yes,
sometimes and then comes back. I think maybe it's
Sorry,
just the internet at your space. Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry about that. So I'm talking about a storyboard, and I'm saying that for storyboard, mostly it's used by those in the film making industry. But storyboard can actually be used by anyone who wants to create visually appealing, immersive content, right? It helps you to let you know the flow of your story. So even if you're going to take a picture, let's say for those who are into photography, you're going to take a picture of your client's product. You don't just go and you take the picture, create it. Create a storyboard of, okay, what is the end result of these pictures? What are the emotions we are trying to evoke? Are we going to evoke test? Are we going to evoke happiness? What are we going to evoke from these pictures that we are going to take, right? Now, once you do that, you create your process. So this is how we are going to arrange it. This is how we are going to set it up. This is what we are doing. These are the images, how they are supposed to be positioned, among other things. Now, when you come to the marketing field, we have what we call the content calendar. The content calendar is basically for your caption, right? When those in the apps, those who write, the writers and everything, your content calendar helps you to know what to post, how to write it, whether you're going to add images to it or you're going to add videos to it. What exactly are you going to do, right? So that comes to when you are doing the using the platform, social media platform, you can use the content calendar. Now, how do you make a storyboard? I'm going to share with you simple steps on making a storyboard. And then maybe when we go into the fireside, we can actually ask more questions on it because of time. The first one is, before you make a storyboard, have a goal. And I have been saying this over and over and over again, right? Before you get down to the real business, you need to have an idea of what you hope to achieve with that, with what you're coming to do. What do you hope to achieve? The next thing is brainstorm ideas. So there is mindstorming and there is brainstorming. Now, for you yourself, I have realized that most of the artists, when I talk about artists, I mean all those in the creatives, they are not able to really, some of them are not able to really come out to discuss with people. Mostly they will say that, oh, give me time, let me relax, be in my room and come up with the how I want the whole thing to be. That is fine. That is mindstorming. So do your mindstorming. However, when you finish, bring it out, discuss with your team, discuss with the client to make sure that, is this what we want? So brainstorm the ideas afterwards. Now, when you brainstorm, create a timeline for your story, or create a timeline for the content that you want to do. Then you start putting together the sketches, right? If you're an artist, then you start the sketching aspect. You start, how is it going to look on paper? If you are, nowadays, there are tools that you can actually use to make sure that you have an overview of how the end results you are looking for will be, right? People use AI tools to be able to create the end results and see how they are looking for it to be. And most people that have been using that is, I think, the architects. Nowadays, they are able to really tell you how your building is going to be and all that. So the same way initially they were drawing it on paper to give you that feel, now technology is able to let you have a real feel of it, right? A real feel of it. So do the sketches, go back, discuss, come back, add the additional notes, take second opinions, third opinions, share it with the client and let them know that this is what you really want. And then you keep revising the storyboard and you are good to go. Like I've already said, start small, start step by step, start with the basics that you are good with. Then as you continue, you keep growing and you keep growing on that. Let's go to the next slide. Let me see if I have something there. So these two things are very, very important. Ethical collection. Now, whenever you are using people's work for what you are doing, please make sure to get their consent and you credit them. These are very, very, very important tools, important thing that you have to do. It is very, very, very important. We do that all the time. And like in Africa, we take certain things for granted. But outside Africa, people can sue you for using their work. So make sure that if ethically, you are being ethically right? So if it's you are picking people's content and everything, seek their consent. And when you finish as well, make sure that you credit all the sources that you are using, okay? I think this brings me to the end. The last slide is still on me, right? Sorry about that, Hilda. Okay, so this was something that I put together. I think I picked it online. It says that make sure that you understand these key things, right? Philip, please give me just 1 second to go through this aspect with them, I beg. Okay, so make sure it is not just about the tools you are going to use, but it is about the skills. It is very important for you to know that. It is not only about the transfer of knowledge, it is also about the amplification of the voices. It is not about creating just media. This one, I can't say it enough, especially for the creatives on this app, the graphic designers, the videographers, the photographers. For them, they want nice pictures. They want pictures that are nice. No, pictures that are nice is nice, but the picture should be telling a story. So what story are you telling with that picture? What story are you telling with that graphic design that you have done? What story are you telling with that video? It is not just about creating quality. No. That is not what we are looking at. We are looking to tell a story. Please. So it is not just about creating the media. It is about creating a meaning. It is about creating a meaning. It is not just about substituting analog stories. It is about transitioning the stories. It is not just about telling an isolated story. It is about sharing, connecting experiences and perspective to your community. It is not only about telling a story. It is about the last one I'm not seeing. Forgive me. I'm using my phone. So you guys should just forgive me today. I didn't write it down for that aspect.
It is about contributing and collaborating with others.
Collaborating with others. Good. I've turned my phone into landscape now. Yes. So keep these things into place. Skills, amplification, transforming, having a meaning, sharing and connecting, contributing and collaborating. Whenever you are telling a story and you're going to use the technology tools or the platforms, let these 5, 6 things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 things be in your mind. With that, trust Naomi to tell you that you are going to tell a digital story. And a digital story means the audience are able to grasp it. If your story is not able to get the audience to grab it, it wasn't a story, it was a statement. I repeat, if something you put out there, whether an image, whether a caption, whatever, is not able to grab the attention of your audience, it wasn't a story, it was just a statement. Thank you very much. So this was an assignment I was going to give to them. I wanted them to create their own and probably share with me later on, and we can all go through it. So that was it.
Thank you so much, Naomi. You've done amazingly well. I'm sure everyone online can attest to this. I would ask you to please, I think we'll share that last slide that has your details so that when this assignment, this final project is done, people can also get back in touch with you and get your feedback directly on what it is they've done. So currently on the screen is Naomi's email address and her mobile number.
Oh, the mobile number is wrong.
219-212. So maybe just go ahead, Naomi, and share on the chat your contact details, maybe your LinkedIn address or something where people can reach you and then keep in touch with you as well.
I think that one, Philip will be able to tell whether the slides are going to be shared with you.
Yes. For slides, yes, we will be sharing the slides eventually. Would ask, I think everyone who's on this chat has signed up. So we have your email address, and so we will be sending the details to you. Can we please give a massive hand to Naomi? Some thumbs up for the work she's done and that she's taught us. And if you have any questions, now will be a time to put it in the chat box as we welcome our next speaker as well. Once we are done with his presentation, Hajani has raised the hand. Could you please just send the question directly if you don't mind? If you can hear me. Hilbert Hajani, can you put the question in the chat box? You have the floor.
So hello everyone, my name is Teddy Atuluku, and I'll be talking a little bit about emergent tools that you can use in storytelling, mainly focused around things AI related, but also going to what AI actually is, right? So I'm going to start sharing my screen. I'll also turn off my video just so that everyone's data is saved. Okay. So welcome again to the Storytelling with Technology workshop. A little bit about me. Like Philip had said, I have a background in industrial design. I currently work as a creative strategist for a studio called Void Studio here in Nigeria. We're a remote team. I'm based in Abuja. Most of the team is based in Lagos and other places in the South. I have over 7 years of experience working in design and strategy, and have touched more than 50 projects around concept design, product design, physical product design specifically, spaces, and also brands, right? We work at Void mostly with brands. And some of the tools you'll be seeing today are things that we've actually used professionally with our clients. Again, a summary of what the conversation is going to be about. It's going to be an overview about AI and what AI actually is. A little bit of an understanding of the emerging tools. Within the last, I think, 3 years, the amount of AI tools has really exploded. So I'll be talking about some of the longer stays, as well as maybe touching on some of the newer things that are coming up. But I'm also going to be giving you resources to sort of keep abreast of the space. We'll also be understanding applications for some of these tools within the storytelling context. So it's not just, oh, here's this shiny tool with like no practical application. And I think even some of what has already been spoken about before by Naomi is definitely applicable here. So why do we tell stories? I think Naomi already asked this question before. I don't think you guys need to necessarily respond all over again, but I think some of the big things to like keep in mind as we go through this process is the reason for it, right? Are you telling a story because you want to convince someone of something? Are you telling a story because you want to express yourself or want to make your imagination real, right? Like, are you even just trying to like tell a story to convince someone that like this data that you've seen makes sense, right? Or just to communicate. There are all these different reasons that we tell stories, and using the word stories here may seem a little bit simplistic, but you can also think of it as like narratives, right? Why did something happen and what's going to happen next? Kind of referring back to the plot points that Naomi talks about. And also, why do we embrace technology? I would like everyone to put their thoughts on this in the chat. Have any ideas, question, why us as a civilian? Philip, please, you'll have to speak it out because I can't see the chat from my screen.
Hello, Teddy, what do you want me to do?
Read out any question.
Oh, okay. If there are any responses
drops
in the chat, yeah? So far, so good. No questions, no responses as to why embrace technology just yet. Okay, so Naomi from Hapa Spaces.
Naomi says to make our lives
Okay,
easier.
great. So you can read you can read content. Great.
Yeah, it just came up. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's really the reason, right? If we take a look at our modes of storytelling to enhance our reach, Habiba says, yes. If you take a look of how storytelling has progressed through G, right? We sit by simply sitting around fireplaces, talking to the people directly beside us. And also we developed methods like drawing even after we pass, other people get to see that information. We started writing in books and developed language, which is something that also makes, expands the audience and expands our reach, like Habiba said, and Salmatu is also saying. So we have these methods that keep sort of pushing that forward, right? We get to reach more people with our stories. We get to do things simpler. We create ease for ourselves, right? Once upon a time, to get a picture of you, you had to sit in front of a painter for like 15 hours for them to paint you. Now you can just take a photograph. And that's kind of the brilliance that new technology brings forth to us, which isn't something that is always accepted. Sometimes there's resistance, right? I imagine that when cameras were first introduced, a lot of painters who used to paint portraits weren't very happy about it. And I think we're also in a time right now where something similar is happening with the rise of artificial intelligence. So AI, this big thing that we all keep hearing about. What is AI? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it here for us or is it here against us? Right? I'm sure most of us have watched some movie where AI has like taken over. Something like The Matrix, right? Where the AI becomes so intelligent that it decides that humans work better as batteries than as actual humans, or even something like iRobot, right? Where robots are going on an uprising to like take care of humans because humans can't take care of themselves. We have all of these sorts of stories, and I think there's value to them because it's sort of showing us the direction we shouldn't go in. But I think they also create a lot of fear. And so in this next phase, I'll just be explaining a little bit about what AI actually is, just so that if we have some of those misconceptions, we can strip them away. So there are a lot of technical jargon within AI. I'll just go through the list one by one, explain a little bit about what that means and what it means for us going forward. Right, so narrow AI is really this artificial intelligence that can only do one thing. It's trained for one thing. It has no real intelligence, but it's working on a complex task. Recognize what's going to be like important in the picture and what isn't important, and it gets rid of the non-important things, right? You also see something a little bit similar with how algorithms work. It sees your actions. Oh, you liked this post, you spent time looking at this post and decides, okay, I'm going to feed more of that in. It's not really intelligent in the sense that it doesn't know who you are. It's just reacting to the input you've already given it. artificial general intelligence, AGI, is what we mostly think about as AI today. Oh, and by the way, guys, if you have any questions or comments, please just leave them in the chat. No stupid questions here. So AGI is what we generally know as AI today, which is essentially what it says, right? It has this general knowledge of things, which it can put together in a way that seems intelligent. This is facilitated by processes like deep learning and natural language processing. Deep learning essentially just means that this artificial intelligence, this model has been trained on many different things that makes it able to recognize patterns. So things like self-driving cars work off a deep learning model because it can recognize what the road signs are. It can recognize what cars are doing. It has so much like background knowledge of the actions people take when they're about to like turn left or turn right, or when a pedestrian is about to walk into the street. So it takes all of this information and creates a little package that essentially means like, oh, okay, I'm a car and I can drive on the road. I understand what the road is. I understand what people are doing around the road for me to make these reactions. So it works similarly to the narrow AI in that it's really trained on one specific thing, but within that it has a lot of different contexts. Natural language processing is kind of doing that same deep learning thing, just with the way people talk, right? So these are AI systems that have been trained in such a way that they can now recognize you when you ask them to look up something, to find something, to play music, right? Siri works off natural language. ChatGPT works off natural language. And because they recognize the different ways people say things and actually have conversations, they are also able to replicate that. So you start seeing some of this appearing with voice responses on ChatGPT. I know they recently released a 4.0 model, and that's working off the natural language processing. We also have a lot of these generative AI image generators working off of this, because you type that, oh, you want it to give you a picture of a beautiful woman dancing in a ballroom. And it understands, okay, we know what a beautiful woman is. We know what a ballroom is. We know what dancing is. And I understand that it understands that I've put these things in a way that actually makes it be the woman is dancing in the ballroom rather than the ballroom dancing in the woman, which doesn't make sense, but AI is tricky that way. Large language models are essentially the same thing, but these are really what's driving a lot of the AI tools you see today, right? It's this natural language processing that has been trained on so many different inputs, like so many different languages, so many different images. You see that again with things like ChatGPT, Meta's Llama, and Google's Gemini. Those are the three big players. Stable Diffusion, I think, is also one of them. And well, it's essentially what's going to be driving our world moving forward. And then generative AI is a term that's used to talk about artificial intelligence, AGI systems that can create something, something in this case being images or articles, research papers, whatever. They can generate something from user input. This is, I think, where people really start to feel that, oh, we're really on the cusp of something, because it's like, it almost seems like the computer is being creative, but really what it's doing is it's taking the different things it's been trained on mixing them together and then spitting something out. So with generative AI, if you can actually have a pretty small training model. Like you could put in 10 pictures of something and have it work, or you could put in 10 million pictures of something and have it still work but be more effective. If you put in terrible information, you're going to be getting terrible results, which is why we had a situation a few years ago where Microsoft was trying to train an AI system off of Twitter, and it turned out that the AI was racist because like garbage in, garbage out. So are there any questions at this point?
Keep going, Teddy. No questions in the chat box yet, but I'm sure we'll have some soon.
All right. So to hammer, every problem is a nail. So again, like Philip had said, I have a background in industrial design. So I actually have experience woodworking. And this is something that was brought to my attention pretty early on, that not every problem is the same or requires the same solution, right? So sometimes you have to use a saw instead of a hammer, right? It doesn't make sense to say everyone's cast in and then start hammering nails into it, which is a process that's meant to put things instead. And I think the same can be taken with the AI tools. There are different tools for different things. Even aside from it, right? There are different things. And so you have to consider which one you've got. This could be as simple as choosing whether to use ChatGPT or Gemini. They each have their own strength and weakness. You may need to do some dabbling to really like understand what those are for your own personal usage. But like as a simple background, Gemini is really good for research, whereas ChatGPT also does that well, but it's harder to sort of like spot when it's giving you bullshit. In Phoenix Hot, you said you have a question. You can write it in the chat and we'll get to it down the line.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
So can I ask?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, just from what you just said, now you said to a hammer, every problem is a nail. I don't know if it is permissible to just twist what you just said right now. Like, in other way around, can we still say to nail every problem with a hammer?
Sorry, Teddy,
I mean,
before you
yes, you
answer
could
that,
say that, but
I don't know if
what?
you got, sorry, Teddy, I
Hello?
don't know if you heard the question clearly.
Like I feel
I would rather he puts it in the chat because
Okay.
his communication seems to be slurring. I can't quite make out what he's saying. So it'd be better for him to just put it in the chat and then we can deal with it.
Okay. So Infinix
All
Hot,
right,
can
no
you please
problem
write
then.
that in the chat? So what I understood was he was asking if we can flip the question around from to a hammer, every problem is a nail, to a nail, every problem is a hammer. And theoretically, yes, but I feel like that becomes sort of a different situation, right? Because the nail can't really do much and the hammer is like always banging on it. In that situation, the only problem the nail really faces would be the hammer. It kind of makes me think of like some of our government situations, but I think that's getting into something else. The main idea here is that if you have a problem you need to solve, you can't necessarily solve all your problems the same way. So like I was saying, ChatGPT is pretty good at essentially like the natural language thing. It's good at coming up with stories and scenarios and organizing information that you feed it. But when you decide, okay, I want to create this masterpiece or this like, I want to turn this drawing I've made into something a little bit like more umphy. I want to create this musical piece, right? It doesn't make music. It can give you lyrics, but it doesn't make music. And so that becomes a problem. Like trying to make music using ChatGPT is essentially using a hammer to cut wood, right? And that doesn't make sense, especially if you already have a saw sitting beside you on the table. So that's the idea behind this. Yeah, so like there's a tool to fit whatever story you're trying to work on, right? Whatever story you're trying to tell, whatever approach you decide to tell your narrative with, there's a tool for it that fits it really well. Sometimes if you have a complex system, you may need to mix and match, but you can definitely find the right tool for what you're trying to do. So going forward with the more practical examples of each tool and what it does and the differences between them, I decided to use this story, which I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with, of how the tortoise broke its shell, right? Which is an African folk tale about why the tortoise's shell has like the different lines it does. It's really like speaking about the tortoise borrowing feathers from birds to go for a meal in heaven, in the sky, and it being greedy, playing a trick, eating all the food without sharing, and all the birds collecting their feathers back, and the tortoise falling down to the ground, and his shell breaking. And then his wife puts the shells back together, which is why like it's still attached, but it's all in pieces. But I'll be using that as a motif to like just help the narrative flow. Right, so the large language models we have, as I spoke about, were OpenAI's ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and Meta. Sorry, not OpenAI's GPT. ChatGPT is just a subset of that. And then Meta's Llama. I primarily use ChatGPT. I've tried Gemini. Gemini is pretty good. But some of the things I think ChatGPT is really good at is research. It's good at finding information. It's not good at vetting the information though. So you have to sort of cross-check things on your own. If the information is something that's not really statistical, like just general knowledge from things that have been published on the internet, I think it can really categorize those really well. And so we're looking at statistics for stories about the tortoise and like how it shows up. And so you have a little graph that this spit out. Like I really didn't do much work. I just asked it a couple questions of like, find me some statistics about tortoise stories. And it came up with a list. I told it to organize the list and it brought this out. It's also really good at simulation. So I gave it a context of simulate some characters within this story of the tortoise, right? What would two birds at the dinner say to each other when the tortoise is stealing all of their food, right? And it came up with this situation, picked the birds itself. And I think it actually has a pretty convincing script, right? Like, can you believe it? Look at this tortoise over here gobbling everything up. Like I didn't write any of this. This was all ChatGPT based off the story itself. And I think you could use that for other situations as well. So within my professional working life, I've used this like simulation aspect for things like user personas. That's essentially like a blueprint of what a user looks like for a product or a service. And it's been a really helpful way of like really nailing down the problems and the interests of people that I don't have access to. Sometimes the data it brings up isn't exact and you have to check it. But you can add from other places, feed that into ChatGPT. The only thing to really like consider with these large language models and generative AI is you have to sort of treat it like a baby that should be intelligent. It has a lot of resources. It is really fast, but you have to really spell out what you want it to do for it to be effective in any way. For generative AI models, there's MidJourney, which I use personally, but some of the others which are also more free and accessible are Leonardo, which is paid, but it gives you free credits for you to play around. DALL-E 3 comes with ChatGPT, but there's also a free 2.0 version, which you can access online. Viscom is a free AI software that essentially works slightly differently from the others, where you have to feed it some visual information and then it'll beef that up. And I'll show you what that looks like in a bit. And then Adobe Firefly also works kind of similarly to MidJourney and Leonardo, where you write out what you want it to give you, but then it has a few like really accessible tools for sort of like giving your own creative inputs into that process. So some things these generative AI tools are really good for are brainstorming. If you have an idea of something visual and you really want to see what it looks like, this is a really powerful tool for that. Like I said, I use MidJourney. This is the prompts that I use to generate these results of, you know, what does this tortoise with feathers look like? And it gave me some things that I really wasn't expecting. Some of these are a lot cuter than I thought it would feed me, which I think would fit really well if I was making this a storybook, for instance. Good at that way. And if you feel visually inclined in the same way as an artist does, you could still like take that information and then use it to supplement your story that you're trying to tell, right? Some things we've brainstormed with in professional work in life are like exhibition spaces, where we have an idea of what we want a space to look like, but we don't necessarily have the time to visualize that. So we've worked on that. We've created murals for clients using this of like, oh, we know it should be geometric, but like what exactly would this mural look like? Before we even find the artist to actually work on it, right? And so like, it's a really cool tool for just coming up with ideas in a really short span of time. Like all of these took barely like 1 minute, if not less. Another good thing for them is to use them as reference. So traditionally, if you wanted to work with something realistic, being the case of I'm making a drawing of a human, or I want to draw a tortoise, or I want to make a prosthetic for a tortoise, right? Or I want to create this thing that's inspired by the way the tortoise looks. You would have to spend sadly, like long minutes to hours to days trying to like find the right pictures on Google, or like one of these stock footage sites like Unsplash or Pexels. And what these generative AI really help with is that you could generate pictures really quickly that you can use as references for your own projects, right? This has some limitations. Like if you look at the prompt, it says a tortoise is falling backwards. And you would notice that none of these tortoises are on their bellies. Like all of them are like the right side up. Or even the one that's like not the right side up still has his actual shell in front of him. And sometimes it just comes to what these generative AI platforms have been trained on. And it just takes a second for you to like really do a little quick check of, okay, does this even understand what I'm trying to have it do? And so within this context, I decided to just check a tortoise falling backwards, right? And generate some images for that. And it couldn't. So I know it has no reference for tortoises falling backwards. All the tortoise references it has are from right side up or like from the side, or even like just a little bit raised. So this is something that it's finding really hard to do. And if I needed to take this further, then I could do one of two things. I could find an actual image of like the underside of a tortoise and feed it that as a reference for it to generate new things. Or I could just jump to another image generation platform to check to see if it understands what I'm trying to do. And if it does, then use that instead. And then visualization, which I think is something that a lot of people really use it for and is definitely the strongest suit for these, in my opinion, is that it creates really compelling visuals just from the prompts, right? You have some control over it. The different platforms give you different levels of control over what outputs you get. And I think a lot of that control is getting better and better, but it gets quite complicated to try and talk about it here within the workshop. So some of the resources that I have at the end of this presentation are actually really good ways to like dive in and learn and find out some of these ways you can actually like feed your creative vision into getting something that's close to it rather than getting random things that the AI gives you. User reference, some of these tools allow you to essentially still have to say like tortoise flying for it to get some context, right? Like there's no understanding within the sketch whether that's the sky or that's the ground. But then within the picture, it's generating something that's actually a little bit compelling. The shell doesn't quite look like a tortoise shell. The wings are still quite flat, and the head is facing the wrong direction, which are like all weird things that happen with AI. But then you at least have like a grounding of something to work from, right? And if I fed it a like better image, the results are also going to be better. And I've used this tool. This is from a tool called Viscom. It's specifically created for product and spatial visualization, and I've used it a lot within those spaces. So like you have a sketch of a shoe and like your shoe looks like the best thing you've ever seen, or is a picture of the house actually. And then, like I said, these different models are different. So here I fed it a prompt from that story of the tortoise, right? Just talking about the tortoise collected all the feathers and then flew into the sky, right? DALL-E created something quite colorful within this situation. Like, I think that's good. It looks a bit illustrative, which is cool. MidJourney created something that looks like took complete artistic liberties, right? Which I also think is cool, really painterly. It's looking kind of raster. And then Adobe Firefly has a more realistic image, but you can't really see the wings, or you can't really see it flying. These are all like straight results, by the way. I didn't amend it or anything, but it was really just like tortoise flying in the sky with wings made from various feathers. And I just fed that in. These are the results flat out. With some tweaking, I think you can make any of these much better. And if you notice, like Leonardo like went completely psycho and like gave a tortoise with two heads. And I don't know whether that's supposed to be like a jetpack coming from it or not. But yeah, it's so someone says the Leonardo tortoise isn't flying. It's not, but like somehow it is, right? Like it's in the sky, it's doing its own thing, but like there are no wings to propel it. And these are like some of the weirdness that comes from using these models. You have to kind of like fine tune everything as you go. But I think even these are interesting because they, with that brainstorming idea, kind of like spark some added creativity that you may not have even like considered to begin with. And then generative AI for motion. These work very similarly to the image AI we've seen. However, they essentially work on frames. So based off whatever inputs you give them, they try to create multiple frames afterward to help support that. Here's an example of something with Kaiber, which it's not actually making the tortoise fly, right? These tend to allow less control, I think, just because of like how much computing power they take. But they also give pretty interesting results. You just may have to wait for a long time to be able to see them. Right? And then this is a different project by Meta, which I think works a lot more like a narrow AI. It essentially takes like an image that you feed it, gives it a skeleton, and then you have a few different ways of animating it. There are more complex systems of this you can find with tools like Blender, and I forget its name. I think it's actually called Motion. But it's this like 3D design software where you feed it, you can feed it an image, you feed it a 3D model, and it helps create a skeleton and like develops motion from it. So those are more like straightforward applications. Here you can do like wacky things. If you have a more structured T-pose type character for the character designers here, you can do like interesting things with these. Yes, these tools are free. The only thing you have to